Oh, he believes a lot of wild things. One of them is transgender surgery for people who are under 13.
So for those out there who are wondering, aren't there something else you could be doing or doesn't seem to impact you in your life? This is what it means to show empathy. This is what it means to be welcoming.
He changed the Minnesota state flag to make it look like the Somali flag. You haven't seen that?
But our current flag is problematic. I think we all know that. We've evolved into a more diverse state, and I think it's more reflective.
Joe Rogan just uncovered something with Tim Walz that's so wild, even UFO stories start to make sense. Suddenly, Walz isn't just your average politician, he's more like a walking plot twist. Rogan steps into the spotlight, ready to roast him like sizzling elk on a Texas grill. This isn't a political debate anymore, it's like reality TV crashing into Minnesota. What Joe uncovers is a mix of humor, chaos, and just a touch of conspiracy, all packed into one insane ride. Trust me, you'll want some popcorn for this complete unraveling.
Think about Walz's descriptions of his military career, because there's some issues there that people have. I don't know if he flat out ever said that he served in Afghanistan, but he certainly didn't dissuade people from saying that he was, when they were saying he didn't correct them.
Right.
There was things
he did.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you might think. Joe Rogan's seen some pretty bizarre things. UFOs, politicians pretending to know what elk meat tastes like, and health gurus saying kale smoothies can cure everything from the flu to a broken heart. But even Joe wasn't ready for Tim Walz, a politician who somehow makes Minnesota feel like the set of a low-budget sitcom that's totally lost control.
Tim Walz, cocksucker, if that guy got into power, like if Kamala died and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, was our president, you know how crazy this country would be? That weirdo who puts tampons in the boys' room, and what about our joy? Like he's a complete pathological liar. Like a complete liar. Lied about being in Tiananmen Square, lied about being a fucking head coach.
When Rogan pulled back the curtain, he didn't find a political mastermind. What he found was a guy juggling pure chaos like a clown at a state fair. Tim Walz somehow mastered the art of looking busy while getting almost nothing done. It's like politics on a treadmill, constant effort, zero progress. The illusion of motion without actually going anywhere is, in its own ridiculous way, almost impressive.
Oh, Tim Walz is out there talking again.
Did you say he could fight any Trump supporter?
Yeah, he says he kicked their ass, and they're scared of him because he could fix a truck. Like they're threatened by his masculinity. I know how to fix a truck. That's what he said. I'm like, do you? I bet you don't.
The lady doth protest too much.
I bet you don't.
I fear.
I bet if I bring a broken truck to you and a bag of tools,
That was kind of the redress, right? That was the attempt. It was like, we're gonna, the symbol of masculinity on the left is...
Joe Rogan couldn't help but notice that every time Tim Walz tries to flex his leadership, it feels less like authority and more like a substitute teacher losing control of the class 5 minutes in. Minnesota hoped for a strong leader, but instead they got a confused dad fumbling with the TV remote. His leadership ended up feeling more like a family sitcom, and the laugh track practically writes itself.
Video of Tim Walz doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Exact same thing, and he said, of course, it's a Nazi salute. He said that.
Right.
We spent 3 days debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did. But that is a distraction.
This is how crazy things have gotten.
And the wild part? Walz isn't even trying to hide it. He acts like he's cracked the secret code to running a government. But Joe noticed his big ideas sound like they were ripped straight from a 2003 motivational calendar. It's the kind of advice that only seems deep if you're half asleep in a dentist's waiting room. Rogan points out the comedy of it all, not with cruelty, but with that classic, "Are we really doing this?" tone he usually saves for flat earth debates.
Interviews and there's no pushback. There's no excuse me, I didn't go to Iraq, right?
Exactly.
And I retired, as my unit was deploying. And so
we retired a couple months before.
A couple months before,
right?
Yes,
what is the whole
but those
story
guys
behind
know
it?
they know that they're going right. It's not like they suddenly get a paper, on one day. There's a build up to that, and they're aware of it. And so, even his personnel were saying, look, we all knew we were going. He knew he was going. Now,
What makes it even funnier is how Walz struts around like he's the secret hero of American politics when half the country wouldn't recognize him in a lineup. Yet there he is, acting like he's auditioning to play president in a high school play. Joe couldn't ignore the absurdity, because once you peel back Walz's layers, there's no mastermind underneath, just a guy desperately trying to keep up with the pros while holding a playbook written in crayon. Rogan's specialty is digging beneath the surface, and with Walz, the surface is all that's holding the chaos together. On the outside, you get the smiling politician routine, but as Joe connects the dots, it goes from trusted leader to someone who probably shouldn't be left alone with sharp objects. Every story led to another ridiculous twist, like peeling an onion, only to find it's actually a cabbage someone spray painted. One of Joe's favorite moments was pointing out how Walz talks about leadership like he's giving a TED Talk, while the results look more like a messy kindergarten art project, confusing, chaotic, and proudly presented as if it's groundbreaking.
100% right with Tim Walz.
I know I'm doing something right when the Fox News crowd is all bitching at me like crazy. Like, I'm loving it.
That guy was almost the vice president of the United States.
Elon Musk was crying last week. Tim is being mean to me, base, yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that thing where it shows Obama saying, I need a vice president that's dumber than me.
He may or may not have cognitive decline problems at his age, but at her age, she's just dumb.
Yeah,
Biden and
I think I
Biden
was saying that
I
on
need
your...
Picture someone giving a big speech about innovation while still using a flip phone. That's exactly the level of irony here. Walz loves to stand tall, acting like he's rewriting history, but Joe Rogan noticed that half the time, the guy is really just rewriting his grocery list. What really cracked Joe up was how Walz carries himself like Minnesota is the center of a political revolution, when it's really just a testing ground for dad jokes and painfully awkward town halls. Walz thinks he's running Rome, but Joe sees a lemonade stand with questionable math. The people around him either buy into the illusion or play along because, honestly, who doesn't enjoy watching someone stumble their way into power like it's political twister? Rogan couldn't ignore Walz's strange talent for turning every serious moment into a sitcom gag. Give him a shot at looking presidential, and suddenly it feels like a blooper reel. Hand him a national issue, and he delivers it like a badly wrapped gift. Torn paper, no bow, missing instructions. Joe joked that Minnesota politics isn't even government anymore. It's a reality show that never made it past season 1. And somehow, Walz keeps bouncing back from every blunder like a cartoon character who refuses to stay down.
Video?
I haven't seen. Please play it.
It's probably a real person. It might not be Tim Walz. Trump is AI generated.
No, he slaps his...
I mean, that is hilarious.
Oh, it's definitely him. This is all 100% real, Jamie. You're a plant by the
Jamie's
government.
compromised.
On top says it's AI generated.
Riley
So
Moore
what?
fell for an AI-generated video of Minnesota government. I fell for it too. And do you know why I fell for it?
Yeah.
Because I believe that he's capable of...
It's almost impressive, like watching someone slip on ice and somehow not fall. You can't tell if it's skill or just blind luck. Walz dodges accountability like he's Neo in The Matrix, except instead of bullets, it's bad decisions flying at him. This is where Rogan had a blast tearing apart the idea that Walz is some misunderstood genius. No, Joe compared him to an overconfident substitute gym teacher. Sure, he can give a loud pep talk, but when it's time to run real plays, you'd be better off asking middle schoolers with a whiteboard. Walz acts like he's playing chess, but Joe exposed that it's really Candyland, and he's still losing. The deeper Rogan dug, the stranger it got. Walz has this habit of over-explaining everything, as if talking longer magically turns nonsense into wisdom. But Joe wasn't buying it. He saw straight through the act. Walz's speeches are basically the audio version of those motivational cat posters, the ones that say, "Hang in there." Sounds inspiring until you realize it's just a cat stuck on a branch.
I mean, they were talking about cracking down on hate speech online. Like, that free speech is not hate speech. That Tim Walz guy was actually saying that.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
hate speech.
But here's the real kicker. Walz somehow convinced people he's relatable. Rogan called it out. The guy's version of being down to earth sounds like it was written by a marketing intern on their third cup of coffee. It's not authenticity, it's improv comedy with a 2-drink minimum. Walz struts around trying to play the everyman, but Joe exposed that he's more like an AI bot programmed to throw in a folks every few sentences. And just when you think he's reached peak awkwardness, he somehow tops himself. Joe pointed out that Walz doesn't just stumble, he stumbles with enthusiasm, like it's all part of the plan. He'll proudly announce a big initiative, only for it to collapse faster than a bargain lawn chair. The guy collects political blunders like trophies, stacking them up as if history will someday applaud his legendary mistakes. Spoiler, it won't. But Joe didn't stop at the politics. He went after the whole vibe. Picture Walz walking into a room. The mood shifts instantly, not from respect, but because everyone's bracing for the unintentional comedy show about to start. Rogan compared it to watching someone do karaoke for the first time. Loud, confident, and completely off-key. You don't want to laugh, but you can't stop yourself.
No. For the video of him taking down the Minnesota flag and he replaced it with the new flag that looks a lot like the Somali flag. Minnesota has a huge population of Somalis in it.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So he gets the flag, picks it up, and replaces it.
There, that's better.
Why is that better?
Here's where the irony really hits. Walz actually thinks he's crushing it. That's the trick. While everyone else sees a blooper reel, Walz sees a highlight reel. Joe Rogan pointed out that the man's real talent might be living in an alternate reality where every mistake somehow counts as a win. It's a delusion turned into a superpower, and it works just long enough for him to keep a straight face on camera. But Joe didn't stop there. He dug into Walz's habit of chasing trends like a surfer who never learned how to balance. Rogan laughed at how Walz thinks saying the right words is the same as actually doing the work. If politics were karaoke, Walz would be the guy mumbling lyrics he doesn't know, hoping nobody notices. The funniest part is how Walz handles criticism. Joe showed that he treats every bad headline like a personal attack from the universe. Instead of learning, he doubles down with the confidence of someone who misread the map but insists the car is going the right way. Joe summed it up perfectly. Watching Walz deal with adversity is like watching someone try to fix a broken sink with duct tape. It never works, but you almost respect the effort.
Kamala saying, I need a vice president dumber than me. It's Walz. Men have tampons.
We have a lot of accomplishment. We haven't taken adequate credit for it, frankly. We got to do a better job of getting the word out about what we have accomplished and who did it.
You got to lose because we got to break this cycle.
And the timing couldn't be better. Joe's takedown of Walz landed just as people are craving authenticity. And here's Walz serving the exact opposite, forced charm mixed with non-stop awkwardness. Rogan's breakdown showed that Walz isn't just out of touch, he's practically operating on another planet. It's not sinister, it's hilarious. The man truly believes he's starring in a gripping political drama, when in reality he's the comic relief nobody can stop watching. By the end, Joe painted a picture you can't unsee. A politician who stumbled into attention by accident, convinced himself it was destiny, and has been improvising ever since. That's why people couldn't stop laughing. Joe didn't just criticize him, he exposed the unintentional comedy act that defines Tim Walz's political career. From over-the-top speeches to awkward timing, from dad joke policies to inflated confidence, Walz became less of a leader and more of a walking blooper reel. Minnesota wanted a governor. What they got was a sitcom character. And thanks to Joe Rogan, everyone finally got front row seats. The more people replay Joe's breakdown, the clearer it became. This wasn't a fluke. It was a pattern.
Complete pathological liar.
Let's be honest. There are outsiders coming into communities, stealing and moving jobs away, and making life harder for people living there. And they have names: Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Complete liar. Lied about being in Tiananmen Square. Lied about being a head coach of a football team.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor. Kamala Harris talked about going in that courtroom for the first time.
Pathological liars, people that are habitual liars, they just lie all the time about everything. Oh, you didn't deploy for war. You didn't. Why are you saying you deployed at war? The weapons you used in war? No, you were in war.
I plan on waking up on...
Walz isn't unlucky. He's consistent. Every move, every speech, and every attempt to look presidential somehow turns into another blooper reel. It's almost impressive. Like he's devoted his entire career to proving that gravity hits Minnesota politicians harder than anyone else. You'd think he'd learn eventually, but no, he just doubles down, proudly walking into the same glass door twice. It's like watching a magician who only knows one trick, and even that trick fails half the time. Minnesota keeps clapping politely, but you can tell people are starting to wonder if they deserve a headliner instead of a warm-up act. And that's the real punchline. Walz still thinks he's winning, strutting around delivering Oscar-worthy monologues, completely unaware that everyone else is watching a comedy reel. Joe Rogan didn't need secret files or hidden scandals. All he did was hold up a mirror. And what was reflected back wasn't corruption or villainy, it was something far funnier. Tim Walz, the accidental comedian of politics, stars in a never-ending sitcom that nobody asked for, yet nobody can stop watching. This wasn't a hit job, a scandal, or some hidden exposé. Joe just let Walz talk, move, and perform exactly as he always does. No edits needed, no exaggeration required. The comedy revealed itself naturally. What started as curiosity turned into full realization. This isn't bad luck, bad timing, or one rough moment. It's a pattern. Walz doesn't collapse under pressure, he drifts through it, convinced he's thriving, while everyone else watches in disbelief. And that's the twist nobody saw coming. Not a villain, not a mastermind, just a man so committed to his own version of reality that he never notices the laugh track growing louder. Thanks to Joe Rogan, that illusion finally cracked, and once you see it, you can't unsee it.